The warning ignored in the heart of the Milky Way, the Galactic Council gathered inside the shining halls of Velar Prime. The air was filled with laughter, every delegate amused by the same message that had arrived from a small blue planet called Earth. The message was short and calm. It said only 6 words. "Do not test the patience of mankind." The hall echoed with laughter. The Zenith commander, Lyra Velcor, raised her glass and said, "Humans believe they can threaten the stars." Around her, dozens of alien ambassadors laughed harder, believing Earth's warning to be a desperate joke. For centuries, humanity had stayed quiet. They joined the galactic community late, and they never showed much of their power. The other races saw them as harmless dreamers, trading art and medicine but never weapons. The Council thought of humans as soft, emotional and naive, yet deep under the oceans of Earth. Machines the size of mountains waited in silence, forgotten by time. On Luna Base, Admiral Kane stood before the holographic map of the solar system. His officers waited quietly behind him, their faces pale under the cold light. "They laughed again," one of them whispered. Kane smiled faintly. "Let them," he said. "We warned them once, that's enough." Behind his calm eyes was something darker, something ancient. Humanity had been patient, too patient, and every insult was remembered. Meanwhile, in the distant Nebra sector, the alien probe Selith 9 approached Jupiter's orbit. Its scanners searched for signs of human ships. The operator, a young Velari pilot, smirked. "Let's see what they hide." But as the probe neared the red storm of Jupiter, every signal cut off. Static filled the Council's monitoring station. "We lost it," the technician said. Another officer laughed. "Their gravity fields probably fried our sensors." Yet the static carried something strange, a deep, pulsing rhythm like a heartbeat. Then silence. A week later, 2 more probes vanished. The Council began to grow uneasy. "Perhaps we should speak to Earth," said a timid envoy. "Perhaps we should not," replied Lyra sharply. "They are weak and we will prove it." Orders were given, fleets prepared, and the galaxy's largest armada began moving toward Sol. They wanted to remind humanity of its place, beneath the great powers of the stars. On Earth, people carried on with their lives, unaware of the gathering storm. The media spoke of peace, of science, of exploration. Yet in secret tunnels beneath Antarctica, soldiers trained, AI cores awakened, and ancient codes were unlocked. Admiral Kane watched as 10,000 screens lit up. Each display showed the same emblem, a white phoenix on black metal. Humanity's hidden fleet, the Titans, long sealed away after the wars of old, were stirring once again, night after night. Strange lights flickered across the sky. Civilians called them meteors, but the military knew better. The orbital defense platforms had come online. Earth was waking, not in anger, but in warning. Kane stood in the command room and whispered, "We never wanted war, but they never listened." Far away, inside the Zenith flagship Obsidian Glory, Commander Lyra watched the growing image of Earth on her screen. "Such a small world," she said. "And yet so loud." Her second officer laughed. "They can't possibly stand against us," Lyra nodded. "Then let's show them what real power looks like." At that same moment, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the pressure sensors of a long-forgotten vault began to flash. Ancient machines rumbled. Shaking the seabed, the vault opened slowly, releasing waves that traveled across the ocean floor. Inside, dark shapes moved. Massive, armored giants awakening from their 1,000-year sleep. In orbit, human satellites went dark one by one, not because they failed, but because they were switching into stealth mode. The planet's magnetic field shimmered unnaturally, confusing alien scanners. No one outside Earth could see what was happening beneath the clouds. As the alien armada neared the edge of the solar border, the first human transmission arrived. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a speech. It was a single sentence spoken by a calm, female voice. "Turn back or see what we hold back." The Council dismissed it as empty noise. Commander Lyra smiled cruelly. "Transmit this back to them," she ordered. "The galaxy doesn't bow to myths." Back on Luna Base, Kane received their reply. He listened quietly, then turned to his officers. "They have chosen," he said softly. Around him the air was heavy, silent. Only the hum of machines filled the room. "Activate Wrath Protocol," he whispered. The order was sent through encrypted channels across the Earth sphere. It reached hidden bases on Mars, undersea fortresses on Europa, and silent carriers drifting near Saturn. In the dark emptiness between planets, something began to move. A shadow larger than any alien dreadnought stirred, unseen by their sensors. The galaxy thought humanity was weak because they had never seen Earth truly fight. They were about to learn the truth. As the alien fleets entered the system, Earth's blue glow dimmed slightly, as if the planet itself was holding its breath, and far beneath its crust ancient reactors roared to life. Admiral Kane looked at the rising energy levels and whispered, "Let the galaxy laugh now." The mockery turns to fear. The galaxy prepared for what they believed would be a short war. Hundreds of alien fleets gathered at the solar border, their ships shining like silver stars against the void, every broadcast channel filled with laughter and bold words. "The humans are brave but foolish," one general said. "They hide behind their blue world because they fear what lies beyond." Others joined him in mocking voices, repeating Earth's warning with false drama. "Do not test us," they said, mimicking the tone of human leaders. Their laughter echoed across the stars. In the command chamber of the Zynath flagship Obsidian Glory, Commander Lyra stood with her arms folded, watching her tactical display. "Begin the advance," she ordered. Her voice was cold, confident. "Let's see how long their little planet lasts." The fleet engines flared, and millions of tons of alien metal began moving toward the human system. Waves of dreadnoughts, cruisers, and carriers filled the empty space between Mars and Jupiter. It was the largest force ever assembled against a single world. But then something strange began to happen. The lead ships reported interference, their sensors flickering with static. "Magnetic distortions ahead," said one officer. "Possible human jamming?" Lyra smirked. "Ignore it," she said. "Push through." Moments later, the entire front line went silent. No explosions, no distress calls, just silence. 10 ships vanished from every radar. And their last transmission was a single phrase, "The stars are wrong." Panic whispered through the fleet. "Could it be the humans?" someone asked. Lyra slammed her fist against the console. "It's an ambush," she barked. Titan formation, but deep inside, even she felt a flicker of unease. The humans were not supposed to be capable of this. They were supposed to be predictable, weak, and slow. Yet something unseen was hunting their ships in the dark. Across the galaxy, the Council received the news. The laughter faded, replaced by confusion. "Maybe they stumbled into an asteroid field," one delegate said. Another shook his head. "No." The coordinates were clear. The silence grew heavy. Only one species remained calm. The humans. Earth sent no messages, no responses, and no threats. It was as if the entire planet had gone dark. Far from the front lines, Admiral Kane watched from Luna Base, his face illuminated by holographic screens showing alien fleet movements. "They have entered the zone," said a technician quietly. Kane nodded. Then the game begins. Around him, the command center pulsed with silent efficiency. The humans didn't cheer or boast. They knew the cost of war, and they knew patience was their greatest weapon. Above the Pacific Ocean, storm clouds gathered unnaturally. Lightning spiraled in circular patterns as the sea began to rise. Beneath the waves, a hidden machine hummed to life. A giant construct 1,000 meters tall, its armor black as night. Its eyes glowed red, scanning the surface. One after another, the Titans awakened, breaking free from their oceanic tombs. Alien satellites tried to peer through Earth's clouds, but all they saw was distortion. Every image blurred, every signal bounced back. It was as if the planet was wrapped in a living storm. "Their atmosphere is unstable," said one analyst. "It's just weather," another laughed. But deep down they were not so sure. For the first time, the galaxy's endless confidence began to crack. "On board Obsidian Glory," the crew whispered quietly. "Why are they not responding?" One asked, "Why aren't they trying to negotiate?" Another said, Commander Lyra ignored them, focusing on her screen. Yet her hands trembled slightly. "Fire a warning volley," she ordered. Beams of light shot toward Earth's upper orbit. But before they could hit, they bent away, vanishing into empty space. "What was that?" shouted her gunner. Lyra's eyes widened. Some kind of field. Across the fleet, chaos erupted. Engines failed without reason, weapons jammed, and navigation systems rebooted over and over. The once perfect formation of ships broke apart. Ships collided, alarms screamed. "We're under attack!" Someone yelled. "From where?" Another cried. No one could see the enemy because humanity had mastered invisibility, not through magic but through science so advanced it looked like it. At the same time, a transmission finally came from Earth. A calm female voice echoed through every alien ship. "You were warned," she said softly. "You called it a bluff, now you will see the truth." The message cut off, leaving only silence. Then a flicker appeared on their sensors, a massive shadow rising from behind the moon. It wasn't a planet, it wasn't a station. It was something larger, something alive with energy. Commander Lyra stared at it, her voice shaking for the first time. "Zoom in," she ordered. The image sharpened, revealing a colossal structure shaped like a black-winged fortress. Symbols glowed faintly on its hull. Humanity's wrath. "Is that a ship?" her officer whispered. Lyra's throat went dry. "It can't be," she murmured. No species could build something that size. But it was real. And as the alien armada floated helplessly, a single human transmission spread across every communication band in the galaxy. The voice was deep, cold, and human. "This is your final chance," it said. "Leave Sol space or be erased." For the first time in centuries, the galaxy fell silent. All the laughter, all the arrogance, all the mockery died at once. The aliens who once called humans weak now stared into the void, and saw something older, darker and far stronger than they had ever imagined. Humanity had spoken once, and now their wrath was awakening. The awakening of wrath. The stars burned silently as the galaxy held its breath. The great armada that had once laughed now floated in chaos. Ships drifted without command, sensors scrambled, weapons silent. Commander Lyra of the Xenath fleet stared at her screens, heart pounding. "What is that thing?" she whispered. Her second officer tried to speak, but words failed him, for before them, rising from behind the moon, was a ship larger than any city. Its black armor swallowed the light of nearby stars. Its engines glowed like suns. Humanity had awakened its first Titan-class warship, Wrath of Terra. Across the solar system, every hidden base received the same signal, a single word transmitted through encrypted channels. "Awaken." Beneath the icy surface of Europa, under the sands of Mars, deep within the trenches of the Pacific, the Titan stirred. 10,000 massive ships, long forgotten by the galaxy, rose from their slumber. Their systems came alive one by one, reactors humming with ancient fury. The planet itself seemed to tremble as if the Earth knew what was coming. Inside Luna Command, Admiral Kane watched in silence. His officers looked terrified. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy readings across every sector," one said. Kane nodded slowly. "That's the sound of humanity remembering who we are." The lights dimmed as Earth's defense grid aligned. Orbital platforms rotated, and planetary shields flared to life across the night sky. Every star over Earth flickered red, a sign that the Wrath Protocol was fully active. In the council chambers on Valar Prime, panic erupted. "Their power readings are impossible," shouted one diplomat. "They are exceeding dark fusion limits," cried another. The council leader tried to remain calm. "Contact them, beg them to stop," he said. But no one could. All communication lines were silent. Earth was not answering. Humanity no longer negotiated. They had been ignored too many times. Back near Jupiter's orbit, alien ships tried to retreat. But it was too late. Wrath of Terra began to move. Its engines thundered across the void, sending gravitational waves strong enough to warp light. The alien ships fired everything they had. Beams, torpedoes, plasma bursts. The warship took the hits without flinching, shields glowing faintly blue. Not even scratched, then the Titan spoke. Its AI voice echoed through every frequency. "Calm and inhuman. Threat confirmed," it said. "Initiating cleansing protocol." In an instant, the ship's main cannon charged, drawing power from the very core of its reactor. A beam of pure light erupted, slicing through the void. 50 alien ships vanished in a single moment. No explosion, no debris. Just silence. The survivors screamed through their comms. "It's not possible. We can't track it. It's everywhere." Lyra watched helplessly as her fleet dissolved before her eyes. "They warned us," she whispered, "and we laughed." She turned to her bridge crew. "Pull back, retreat," she shouted, but the AI voice returned, echoing coldly through her ship. "Movement detected, target confirmed." In a blinding flash, her screen turned white, and the obsidian glory was gone. From Mars to Neptune, human ships emerged from stealth, each one a black phantom armed with technology no other species could understand. They didn't speak, they didn't broadcast. They moved like shadows through the dark, cutting through alien fleets like knives through glass. The once proud invaders were reduced to burning wrecks, their cries lost in static. Admiral Kane stood quietly, watching the chaos unfold on his screen. "No celebration," he said softly. "This is not glory. It's justice." His officers nodded. Tears in their eyes, they knew humanity had done what it must. The galaxy had mocked Earth, enslaved its colonies, stolen its people, and called them weak. Now they would remember the truth. In the ruins of the alien armada, only a few ships remained, drifting among shattered metal. The surviving captains sent desperate calls for mercy. "We surrender," they cried. "We accept your terms," but no reply came. Humanity's fleets were silent, watching. The message that had been ignored for centuries was now written across the stars. Earth's patience had ended. Back on Valar Prime, the council chamber shook as the Wrath signal reached them. The giant holographic display showed the symbol of Earth, a white phoenix rising through flame. And then came the final message, delivered in the same calm human voice. "This is the price of arrogance," it said. "We warned you, we held back. But now you will remember." The feed ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Worlds that had once mocked humanity now turned off their lights. Hiding in fear, some races began destroying their weapons. Hoping Earth would spare them, others prayed to their gods, whispering that the Death World had finally awakened. On Luna Base, Kane stood at the viewport, watching the Earth rise blue, calm, and beautiful. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Now they know what we were holding back." The room was silent. Only the low hum of reactors filled the air. Humanity had shown its wrath, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The fall of the arrogant, the galaxy had never known silence like this. The once proud fleets that had filled the void with fire and laughter now drifted like shattered ghosts, wreckage glowing faintly as the cold darkness swallowed them. Across every system, alien worlds watched in disbelief. News of Earth's retaliation spread faster than light. The humans, the so-called weaklings of the Council, had crushed the most powerful armada in history without losing a single ship. On Valar Prime, the Galactic Council chamber was no longer filled with arrogance. It was filled with fear. The great marble floor was cracked, the air thick with the hum of panicked whispers. The council leader, an old arcane noble, trembled as he spoke. "We underestimated them," he said slowly. "We thought they were just another race." His words echoed through the broken hall. "And now they are gods," whispered another delegate. Commander Lyra Velcor, once the loudest voice mocking Earth, now stood before the council as a prisoner. Her uniform was torn, her eyes hollow. "You do not understand," she said weakly. "Their ships, they moved like shadows, like thought itself." The council leader glared. "You led the fleet," he shouted. "You caused this." Lyra raised her head, voice trembling. "No," she whispered. "We all did. When we ignored their warning, far from the council, deep in the Sol system, Earth remained silent. The Wrath fleet returned to orbit, forming a protective halo around their homeworld. The Titans hovered motionless, their black hulls glinting against the sunlight. They did not chase the survivors. They did not destroy the colonies that begged for mercy. Humanity's message was simple. They could, but they would not. Kane stood inside Luna Command, watching the report scroll across his screens. "They are surrendering," an officer said. Kane nodded, as they should. On every alien world, governments fell overnight. Propaganda screens once filled with jokes about humans now showed emergency broadcasts. "Do not provoke Earth," they repeated. "Do not send ships near Sol." Panic spread among the outer colonies. Merchants abandoned their routes. Military fleets shut down their reactors. The entire galaxy seemed to freeze in fear. But humanity did not celebrate. On Earth, cities remained calm. Factories shifted from war production to reconstruction. Farmers returned to their fields. Children played under blue skies. For them, war was not glory, it was survival. Admiral Kane gave no speeches, no interviews. He simply said one line to his command: "Let the galaxy live, but let them remember." Meanwhile, Commander Lyra sat alone in her cell on Valar Prime, replaying the battle again and again in her mind. She could still hear the human voice, cold and calm, that had echoed through her ship before it was destroyed. "You mocked peace, now you meet the consequence." She covered her ears, but the words would not fade. "We thought we were the center of creation," she whispered, "but they were the storm at its edge." The council sent message after message to Earth, begging for negotiation. For days there was no response, then finally, a single transmission arrived. It contained only coordinates and a short sentence. Send your leaders if you seek peace. No threats, no emotion, only purpose. The message was signed, United Terran Authority. When the delegates arrived at Earth, they found no grand ceremony, no golden halls. They were brought to a simple white room beneath Luna Base. Admiral Kane stood waiting, wearing a plain black uniform. His eyes cold but not cruel. The council leader tried to speak. We seek forgiveness, he said. We seek peace. Kane studied him for a moment. Peace is always possible, he said quietly. But understand this, never again will humanity kneel. The aliens lowered their heads for the first time in galactic history. The council signed a treaty not as rulers but as survivors. The Treaty of Sol established a new order. Earth would no longer be under council rule. It would stand above it, protector and judge of the stars. The galaxy that once mocked humanity now sent tributes and vows of loyalty. In the months that followed, Earth helped rebuild the systems they had destroyed. Human engineers traveled to alien worlds, restoring what had been lost. They brought medicine, water, and peace. The same hands that had unleashed destruction now offered healing. Humanity did not want worship, only respect. Yet the memory of their wrath remained. On every starship and every planet, people spoke the same words in fear and awe. Do not anger Earth. The once arrogant empires now trained their children to never forget the warning. On Luna Base, Kane watched the sunrise over Earth, his reflection blending with the planet's soft glow. Beside him stood a young officer. Do you think they'll ever try again? The officer asked. Kane smiled faintly. Maybe, he said, but next time they'll remember what we are. The new order of the stars years passed, and the scars of war began to fade. The stars that once burned with fire and chaos now shone with quiet peace. The galaxy had changed forever, and at its center stood the world that everyone once mocked, Earth. The planet that had been called weak now ruled with wisdom. Its voice soft but unshakable. The United Terran Authority replaced the old Galactic Council. Every major species sent ambassadors to Earth, not to command, but to listen. The new capital was built on Luna, a shining city of silver towers and blue light. From there, humanity guided the galaxy, balancing strength with mercy. They did not conquer worlds, they protected them. They did not enslave species. They lifted them up. Commander Lyra Velcor, once humanity's enemy, now walked through the quiet gardens of Luna Base. The air smelled of flowers that had never grown on her homeworld. She looked toward Earth's bright surface through the glass dome above and whispered, "We were wrong about them." Admiral Kane stood nearby, hands behind his back, his gaze fixed on the stars. "You weren't the first to think that," he said. "And you won't be the last." Lyra turned to him. "You could have destroyed us all," she said softly. "Why didn't you?" Kane's expression didn't change. "Because that's not who we are," he said. "We never wanted to rule, only to be left in peace." His voice was calm but carried the weight of centuries. "They forced our hand, and now the galaxy will remember the cost." Across the known universe, change spread like dawn on distant colonies. Human envoys worked beside alien engineers, rebuilding the cities destroyed by the war. Children of different species studied together under Earth schools, learning history not as enemies but as survivors. They learned about the Wrath Protocol, not as a legend of destruction, but as a warning, a reminder of what happens when arrogance blinds reason. Yet even in peace, Earth's power remained unmatched. The Titan fleet stayed in orbit, silent and watchful. Each massive ship now bore a single phrase engraved on its hull: peace through strength. These warships became symbols of unity rather than fear, patrolling the edges of known space, guarding against pirates, invaders, and threats from beyond the galactic rim. Humanity had become both shield and sword of creation. On the edge of the Orion expanse, a new species made first contact. They were young, curious, and bold. Just as humanity had once been, their explorers approached the solar border with trembling hope. Expecting hostility, instead they found a calm beacon waiting in the dark. It projected a single message in every language: peace with Earth is peace with life. When the young explorers landed on Luna, they were greeted not by armies, but by scientists, teachers, and children waving flags. Admiral Kane himself welcomed them with a smile. "You have nothing to fear," he said gently. "Learn from our mistakes, not from our wars." His words spread across the stars, recorded and repeated for generations in time. People across the galaxy began to speak of humanity, not as destroyers but as the keepers of balance. The myth of the Deathworlders turned into the legend of the Guardians of Sol. Songs were written about the silent blue planet that once warned the galaxy. Temples were built not to worship humans but to honor the idea of restraint and strength held in harmony. In the grand archives of Valar Prime, where the Council once laughed at Earth's warning, a statue now stood in the center of the hall. It depicted a human soldier standing beside an alien child, both looking toward the stars beneath it. A single sentence was carved in 100 languages. They warned us and we did not listen. As centuries passed, humanity continued to grow, exploring beyond the edge of known space. The Titans became legends, their commanders heroes. Yet Admiral Kane's name was remembered above all, not for his battles but for his restraint. He became known as the Guardian of Peace, the man who could have burned the galaxy but chose to rebuild it instead. On his final day, he stood once more before the great window of Luna Base, watching Earth rise over the horizon. Lyra, older and wiser, stood beside him. "Do you think the galaxy will ever forget?" she asked. Kane smiled faintly. "No," he said, "and that's the point." He turned to her. "As long as they remember, there will be peace." The sun rose, lighting up the blue planet below. The Titans hovered silently in orbit, guardians of a galaxy reborn. Humanity had risen from ridicule to reverence, from myth to memory, and from vengeance to virtue. The galaxy would never laugh at Earth again. Instead, it would look to the small blue world that once held back its wrath, and thank it for saving the stars.